My friends, how often do we look outward for strength when the true power has always been within? How many times have we sought approval from the world, only to be left empty, drained, and forgotten? You were not born to chase shadows, you were not created to be at the mercy of fleeting opinions, nor to carry the burdens of others while neglecting yourself. You, yes, you, are the master of your mind, the architect of your own fortitude, and yet most spend their days filling their minds with distractions, with noise, with the worries of a world that neither knows their struggles nor cares for their victories. The battle for self-mastery begins in the mind. Every moment of the day we are faced with choices that either strengthen our will or weaken it. Yet most do not realize they are even making these choices. They drift, pulled by the currents of distractions, unaware that with every indulgence they are surrendering a piece of themselves. To master oneself is to master the art of choosing what deserves attention and what must be discarded. Distractions are not merely the obvious vices. Idle gossip, mindless entertainment, or fleeting pleasures, they take a more insidious form. Overthinking, seeking validation, worrying about the uncontrollable, and allowing external events to dictate internal peace. The mind, undisciplined, latches onto these distractions because they provide escape. But escape from what? Escape from the work of becoming stronger, escape from the responsibility of self-improvement, escape from the discomfort of growth. True self-mastery requires the ability to command one's focus with an iron will. It is to recognize that every moment given to distractions is a moment stolen from purpose. A person who cannot govern their attention is a servant to whatever stimulus demands it. The weak mind seeks excuses. Just 5 more minutes. It doesn't really matter. I can do it later. The strong mind does not negotiate with distractions. It sees them for what they are, traps, thieves, weights shackling the soul. To discipline the mind is to forge an unbreakable bond with one's higher self. It is the conscious rejection of anything that does not serve growth. This does not mean one must become devoid of enjoyment, but rather that enjoyment must be earned, controlled, and never allowed to take precedence over duty. The moment pleasure becomes the master, the mind becomes weak. The moment distractions take hold, the path to self-mastery disappears beneath the feet of those too lost to tread it. There is no force in the world greater than a mind that is fully focused. It sees through illusions, remains steadfast in adversity, and bends chaos into order. The world will always seek to pull attention away, to scatter thoughts, to tempt with ease and comfort. But ease is the enemy of greatness. No man or woman who ever achieved mastery over anything did so by indulging distractions. They were ruthless with their time, disciplined in their actions, unwavering in their commitment to a higher purpose. The mind is a tool, but like any tool, it dulls without care. Feed it idleness and it weakens, challenge it and it sharpens. Every time one resists distraction, one becomes stronger. Every time one chooses focus over indulgence, the mind hardens like steel tempered in fire. A mind that has been trained to resist distraction becomes a weapon against chaos. It no longer bends to the whims of every fleeting impulse. It commands, it dictates, it directs with precision. Many will say they cannot help but be distracted, that the world is too loud, too demanding. But this is an illusion. The world has always been loud. The mind has always been subject to temptation. The difference between those who achieve mastery and those who do not is the ability to say no. No to wasted time, no to unnecessary worry, no to anything that does not serve the pursuit of strength. To focus on oneself is not selfish, it is necessary. How can one offer wisdom if one's own mind is scattered? How can one be strong for others if one is weak within? The world needs minds that are disciplined, not minds that are enslaved by distraction. The stronger one's focus, the stronger one's presence. When the mind is mastered, every action has purpose, every word has weight, and every decision is made with clarity. To become disciplined, one must first become aware. A mind unaware of its distractions is a mind lost. Begin by observing where attention goes. Is it spent on things that build strength, or things that steal it? Is it invested in purpose or wasted in triviality? Every moment spent on something unnecessary is a moment taken from something vital. Time, once lost, never returns. The disciplined mind understands this and guards its attention like a fortress. The next step is control. Control over thoughts, control over actions, control over desires. Control does not mean suppression, it means direction. The river that flows without banks floods and destroys. The river that is guided carves mountains and shapes the land. A mind without control is like the flood, destructive, chaotic, aimless. A mind with control is like the river with purpose, unstoppable, powerful, transformative. Resistance to distraction is painful at first. The mind, like an undisciplined child, will rebel. It will seek the comfort of old habits, demand the ease of indulgence. But just as a muscle grows through strain, the mind strengthens through discipline. The discomfort of saying no to distractions is the cost of self-mastery, and it is a cost worth paying. Some will not understand this path. They will call it unnecessary, even extreme. But these are the same people whose minds are slaves to every impulse, who never achieve their potential, who spend their days in distraction and wonder why they feel empty. The road to self-mastery is not meant for the many, it is meant for the few, the ones willing to endure, to discipline, to rise above the noise and claim their power. It is not enough to wish for focus, it must be built. Every day, every hour, every moment is an opportunity to strengthen the mind or to weaken it. And in the end, the choice is always yours. Pain is inevitable. Suffering, hardship, struggle. These are not accidents of life, but the very essence of it. Every soul that walks this earth will face adversity. Yet the difference between the strong and the weak is not found in what they endure, but in how they endure it. Adversity is the great test, the forge in which the mind is tempered, the chisel that shapes character. Those who resist it, who see hardship as an enemy, fail to understand that it is only through struggle that one truly becomes unbreakable. The weak curse their misfortune, lament their difficulties, and seek an escape. They ask why life is unfair, why they must suffer while others seem to walk an easier path. But fairness is an illusion, and suffering does not discriminate. The strong do not waste time asking why. They accept what is and focus only on how they will respond. They do not run from adversity. They face it head-on, knowing that within every hardship lies an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, more resilient. To endure is not merely to survive, but to remain unmoved by the storms that would shake lesser men. It is to stand firm when everything around seeks to break you. To endure is to refuse to surrender to weakness. To push forward when the body screams for rest, when the mind begs for relief. Endurance is not granted, it is built. It is trained through repeated trials, strengthened with every moment of suffering that is met with defiance rather than despair. There is a choice in every moment of hardship, to give in or to persist. Those who give in weaken themselves not just in that moment, but in all moments to come. Every time one succumbs to pain, to doubt, to fatigue, they reinforce the habit of surrender. But those who persist, who refuse to yield, carve into their souls the habit of resilience. Each challenge overcome is another layer of armor, another lesson learned, another proof that no hardship, no matter how great, can break them. Pain is the teacher of the strong. It strips away illusion, exposing what lies beneath. It forces one to confront their own limits and then shatters those limits through sheer will. The mind that has never suffered remains fragile, unable to withstand the pressures of existence. But the mind that has been tested, broken, and rebuilt is indomitable. It does not fear suffering because it has already faced the worst and emerged stronger. Comfort is the enemy of endurance. Those who seek only ease, who avoid difficulty at all costs, find themselves powerless when hardship inevitably comes. They are unprepared, soft, unable to bear the weight of life's burdens. But those who have embraced discomfort, who have willingly endured pain and struggle, become immovable. They do not crumble under pressure, they thrive in it. They do not fear hardship, they welcome it as a chance to prove themselves once more. The world does not break the strong because the strong have already broken themselves in the pursuit of greatness. They have faced their own suffering, their own doubts, their own limitations, and they have conquered them. They have trained their minds to withstand, to persist, to remain unshaken when all else falls apart. Their strength is not given, it is earned through suffering, through sacrifice, through relentless endurance. Weakness is not an inherent trait, it is a habit. It is built through avoidance, through excuses, through surrender. But just as weakness is built, so too is strength. Every hardship endured without complaint is another step toward becoming unbreakable. Every trial faced without retreat is another victory over the forces that seek to destroy. It is not talent or luck that separates the strong from the weak, but the willingness to endure what others will not. There is no greater power than the ability to endure. Those who possess it are free. They do not fear hardship, for they know they can withstand it. They do not fear loss, for they have lost before and survived. They do not fear suffering, for they have learned to turn suffering into strength. Nothing can be taken from them that they are not willing to lose, and so they remain unconquered no matter what befalls them. To endure is to accept pain as a companion, not an enemy. It is to understand that life will bring suffering, but suffering itself is not the enemy. Only the refusal to face it is. The strong do not avoid hardship, they seek it, knowing that within it lies the power to become something greater. They do not crumble under adversity, they rise above it, again and again, until they are no longer capable of being broken. It is easy to endure when times are good, when the path is clear, when the body is strong and the mind is rested. But true endurance is tested in the darkest moments, when everything seems lost, when hope is a distant memory, when pain is unrelenting and doubt creeps in. It is in these moments that the true self is revealed, and it is in these moments that one must choose, surrender or rise. There will always be suffering, there will always be hardship, there will always be obstacles that seem insurmountable, but those who endure, who refuse to break, who embrace pain as a tool rather than a tormentor, will always stand above those who do not. The world is cruel, but it is not stronger than the one who has mastered the art of enduring. The world is relentless, but it will never defeat the one who refuses to be defeated. In the end, endurance is not about strength of body, but strength of mind. The body will weaken, will tire, will grow old, but the mind that has been forged in adversity remains sharp, remains resilient, remains powerful. It is the mind that determines whether one will break or whether one will rise. And the mind that has been trained in endurance will always rise. From the moment we are born, we are conditioned to seek approval. We are taught to look outward, to measure our worth by the words, opinions, and judgments of others. Praise becomes a source of pleasure and criticism a source of pain. We mold ourselves to fit expectations, contort our desires to align with the standards of the world, and, without realizing it, become prisoners to the validation of others. It is a quiet, insidious form of slavery, one that changed the mind long before the body ever feels its weight. There is no greater burden than living for the approval of others. It is a weight that cannot be satisfied, a hunger that grows with every attempt to feed it. No matter how much one does, there will always be someone who disapproves, someone who questions, someone who demands more. The world is fickle, its standards ever-changing, its judgments unreliable. To tether one's self-worth to the shifting tides of public opinion is to ensure a life of perpetual instability, forever at the mercy of forces beyond control. Those who seek validation will never be free. They will make choices not based on what is right, but on what will be praised. They will silence their true thoughts for fear of disapproval. They will abandon their own path to walk the one that others have set for them, even if it leads to ruin. The cost of external validation is the loss of the self, and there is no price greater than that. The need for approval is a weakness that must be eradicated. It serves no purpose but to weaken resolve, to cloud judgment, to strip away the strength of independence. A mind that relies on others for validation is a mind that will always be controlled, always manipulated, always searching for permission to exist. True strength is the ability to stand alone, to know one's own worth without needing the world to confirm it. To free oneself from external validation is to reclaim power. It is to recognize that no one, no matter how wise or powerful, has the authority to dictate one's value. The only approval that matters is one's own. When a person no longer seeks validation, they become untouchable. Praise does not inflate them, and criticism does not wound them. They move with purpose, not with the fear of disapproval. They do what must be done, not what others wish them to do. Criticism will always exist. No matter what one does, there will always be voices that seek to diminish, to ridicule, to condemn. Some will criticize out of jealousy, others out of misunderstanding, and still others because they themselves are lost and know no other way to navigate the world. But none of these voices matter. The only voice that matters is the one within. Those who know themselves cannot be shaken by the judgments of those who do not. Praise, too, is a trap. It seems harmless, even desirable, but it is just another chain. Those who live for praise become addicted to it. They learn to act not according to principle, but according to what will earn them admiration. They lose their independence, their authenticity, their ability to think and act without the need for applause. And when the praise disappears, as it always does, they are left hollow, desperate, uncertain of their own worth. The strong do not seek praise, nor do they fear criticism. They do what is right, what is necessary, what is true, regardless of how the world responds. They do not waste energy pleasing those who cannot be pleased. They do not exhaust themselves trying to prove their worth to those who will never see it. They walk their own path, confident in their choices, unbothered by the noise of approval or disapproval. Freedom from validation does not mean arrogance. It does not mean rejecting wisdom or ignoring constructive criticism. It means knowing the difference between guidance and dependence, between learning and seeking approval. The wise listen to counsel, but they do not let it define them. They consider advice, but they do not allow it to dictate their every move. They remain in control of their own judgment, their own values, their own sense of self. The world encourages dependence. It thrives on conformity, on obedience, on the silent acceptance of its ever-changing standards. It rewards those who follow and punishes those who refuse. But the ones who refuse, those are the ones who are truly free. They may face resistance, rejection, even loneliness, but they possess something that the seekers of validation will never have: an unshakable sense of self. There is a peace that comes with no longer needing approval. It is the peace of knowing that one's worth is not determined by the opinions of others. It is the peace of making choices without fear, of speaking without hesitation, of living without the constant weight of judgment. It is a power that few possess, but those who do are the ones who move through life with confidence, with purpose, with an unyielding strength that cannot be taken from them. To break free from external validation is to step into true independence. It is to walk a path that is one's own, not one dictated by the expectations of the world. It is to make decisions based on wisdom and conviction, not on the shifting approval of others. It is to be unshaken by praise and untouched by criticism. It is to live, not as a servant to the opinions of others, but as the master of one's own destiny. The ones who seek validation will always be controlled. The ones who do not will always be free. Strength of mind is not given, it is built. It is forged in the fires of struggle, sharpened through discipline and solidified by the rejection of all that weakens the soul. The greatest obstacle to personal power is the illusion that one must seek permission to be strong, but no one grants permission. No one hands over the keys to self-mastery. It must be taken, earned, through relentless commitment to discipline, endurance, and absolute independence from external validation. There is no enemy greater than the undisciplined mind. A mind that drifts is a mind enslaved. Enslaved by distraction, by the opinions of others, by the endless search for ease and comfort. True mastery begins the moment one decides to reclaim control, to command attention with the force of will, to silence the noise and focus on what truly matters. The weak will always be pulled by the currents of distraction, but the strong remain unmoved, unwavering, locked onto their purpose with an intensity that nothing can shake. Adversity will come. It always does. The world will test resolve, throw obstacles in the way, and attempt to break the spirit. The difference between those who rise and those who fall is not in the nature of the trials they face, but in the way they respond. The weak crumble, curse their misfortune, and retreat. The strong embrace the suffering, knowing that every hardship endured without surrender is another layer of strength added to the foundation of their soul. They do not ask for the path to be easy. They ask only for the strength to walk it without breaking. And yet, even those who achieve focus and resilience often fall into the final trap, the desire for approval. The moment one begins to seek validation, they place their power into the hands of others. They allow themselves to be swayed, manipulated, and controlled. They live not for themselves, but for the fleeting approval of those who do not matter. The truly strong reject this weakness. They do not need to be told they are great. They know it in the depths of their being. They do not require applause, nor do they fear criticism. They move forward, led not by the fickle judgments of the world, but by the unwavering voice within. The ultimate freedom is the ability to stand alone, unshaken by hardship, undistracted by nonsense, uninterested in validation. It is to know one's own worth, to command one's own mind, to endure all things without breaking. It is to be a force that moves through life with purpose, carving a path that is one's own, bowing to nothing and no one. Most will not take this path. Most will continue to seek comfort, to be ruled by distractions, to live for the approval of others. But those who choose differently, those who commit themselves to true mastery, will know a strength that few will ever possess. They will move through the world untouchable, unbreakable, unstoppable. The choice is always there, to live as a slave to weakness or to break free, to follow the crowd or to walk alone, to waste time or to seize control of every moment, to surrender to pain or to use it as fuel, to live for approval or to exist on one's own terms. The weak will hesitate, the strong will decide, and once that decision is made, nothing will ever hold them back again. Thank you.